Hi, I'm Adam and I'm recording this video on chesswithgnarek.com. Today we're going to be discussing deflection tactics in chess. So first of all, we have to ask ourselves, what is a deflection tactic? In chess, a deflection tactic is when you identify a piece that's doing an important job and you try to lure us away or distract us from doing that job. So first of all, I invite you in this position to pause the video and come up with a winning plan for white. So before we discuss the winning idea, we must first identify a few things about this position. The first thing we should notice is that black is up a rook and a knight, so if white doesn't win quickly, then black will likely have an overwhelming material advantage in the endgame. The second thing we should notice is that our bishop and queen are lining up against the h7 square. So if this knight on f6 wasn't defending h7, then queen to h7 will be checkmate. So okay, but before we look at the winning idea, let's first look at a couple of normal, natural attacking moves in this position. So the first thing that we would likely consider is the move knight to e5. And this move is very natural because when you're attacking, it's usually good to move your pieces forwards and start making threats. So here white has a big threat of knight to f7 check. So at first glance, knight e5 looks very tempting. However, if we start looking at black's defensive resources here, we'll notice that black can simply slide their king over to g8, where now it defends the f7 square. And after white continues with queen to b3, checking the king, black can simply stop the attack with knight b to d5. And now white has nothing, and we're just down a rook and a knight for no attack. So okay. So this is where the deflection tactic comes in. So we need to try to find a way to make this knight move away from the defense of the h7 square, so we can play queen to h7 checkmate. So I invite you to pause the video for one more moment to try to find that idea. And if you found the move rook to e8, you will be correct. Because rook to e8, it might look impossible because the knight attacks us. But however, the knight also has, again, its very important job of defending the h7 square. So taking this rook is devastating for black because they would simply get checkmated. However, we'll notice that black doesn't really have any other options in this position. Black is forced to move this knight to capture the rook because black can't play king to h7 or the queen will capture it. And there's no good moves to block the check because if you play knight to g8, we play queen to h7 checkmate still. And if you play queen to f8, we simply capture knight g8 and queen h7. So the reason the move rook e8 is so powerful is because it forces the knight to get distracted from its most important job of defending against checkmate. So now after black plays knight takes e8, we'll go queen h7 checkmate. So that's our first example of a deflection tactic. So okay, let's have a look at another example. So in this position, black's king is defending the queen. So if that king wasn't on e8 anymore, if we could force that king away, then there would be nothing defending black's queen and we could simply capture it. So again, pause the video and try to find a way to force black's king away from the defense of the queen. So the first move that we can consider that doesn't work is bishop to b5 check. And this move fails very simply because black can just block with bishop d7. And after we trade the pieces, say knight d7 and bishop e3, black is just up a pawn for no compensation. So black has 6 pawns, white has 5 pawns. So this won't do us all. So instead we need to find a forcing way here to win the queen. And that brings us to the strong move bishop takes f7 check. This is another example of a deflection tactic because it forces black's king away from the defense of the queen. Because black has no option but to take, because we can't run to d7 because the queen defends that square. And after black takes on f7, white can just take the queen. So okay, let's look at one more example of a deflection tactic. So this is a more tricky position. It's trickier than the other positions at least. So again, pause the video and try to find the winning idea here. So the idea that you need to spot in this position is that black's queen serves an important job defending the h7 pawn. So because of this, we can now structure our thinking around trying to stop black's queen from defending this pawn. So we need to find a way to make sure this queen doesn't defend the pawn anymore. And there's only one move that does this, and that move is the very powerful rook to f8 check. And now our queen defends the rook, so black's king can't capture us. So black's only legal move is queen takes rook. And now we simply play queen to h7 checkmate. So these were just a few examples of the deflection tactic in chess. Hopefully you learned something, and goodbye.